7 Histories, Chapter 2 New Kings and Kingdoms, Lecture 1. First topic is the emergence of new dynasties. Now, before getting into the topic, we need to understand certain distinctions between the dynasty, kingdom, and empire. So, a dynasty is basically system of a family where succession of rulers are held within a family. A kingdom or an empire can have multiple dynasties. So, it is basically the rule of first the grandfather, then the father, and then the son. So, it is a system of a family, and a kingdom or an empire can have multiple such systems, multiple dynasties. A kingdom, as we all know, is a territory ruled by a king, and this may contain smaller units as well. An empire is a territory ruled by an emperor which contains one or more kingdoms. So, one or more kingdoms under a single king is known as an empire. Coming to the topic, we see the map of India which have many dynasties shaded. In between 17th and 12th century, these new dynasties came up, that is, in the early medieval period. There even emerged big landlords and warrior chiefs who were acknowledged by the kings as their subordinates or samantas. Now we look upon samantas who were subordinates to king. They were expected to bring gifts for their kings, be regular at court, and avail military support. The emergence of this new social group of individual landholders pushed the common man away from the central authority, giving rise to feudalism. So the common man was pushed one rank lower, and these samantas came in between the king and the people. The weakness of the central authority led to the uprising of this influential class, which took charge of defending people. As they acquired power and wealth, they declared themselves as the Mahasamanta, Mahamandaleshwara, that is, the great lord of the circle or region. Now, with the weakening of the central authority, these social groups attained power and the Samantas claimed independence over their lords. Few instances we see here. The first of Deccan, where the Rashtrakutas, who were initially the subordinates of the Chalukyas of Karnataka, Danti Durga, who was a Rashtrakuta chief, overthrew the king, and he performed a ritual called the Hiranyagarbha, which meant the golden womb, which was believed to give rebirth to the sacrificer as a Kshatriya with the help of the Brahmanas. So even if the sacrificer was not a Kshatriya by birth, by performing this ritual, he was believed to reborn as a Kshatriya. Next, we see instances from certain Brahmana families who took up to arms. The first of which is from Karnataka, where the Kadambas, the early subordinates of Pallavas, established a kingdom which was the earliest native kingdom of Karnataka, and Mayura Sharman was the founder of this kingdom, which was situated in Banavasi. Next, we see the Gurjara Pratiharas of Rajasthan, where Harichandra founded this kingdom, and Gujarat got its name from here. Here we see three maps. First of the Rashtrakuta kingdom, which covers the southern half of India and some parts of central India as well. Next is the map of Gurjara Pratihara kingdom, which covers most of the northern half of India, and the Kadamba dynasty, which is situated in the Karnataka region. Next is the administration in the kingdom. Now, the king is the central authority for sure, and he adopted high sounding titles such as Maharaja Dhiraj, which meant the overlord of kings, and Tribhuvan Chakravartin, which meant the king of the three worlds. Now, although he had such high sounding titles, power was shared with their samantas as well as with association of peasants, traders, and brahmanas. Looking upon the resource management system, we see that resources were collected by the functionaries who belonged to influential families. So the families which had close relation to the king held high positions, and these positions were hereditary. And this was even true for the army. The resources were collected from the producers, who were the peasants and cattle keepers, and were persuaded, rather compelled, to surrender one sixth part of their produce, which was often claimed as rents. There were regular surveys of land, which was ranked for their yield, and revenue was also collected from traders. And these revenue were used for financing king's establishment, construction of various temples, and for fighting wars, which was expected to bring wealth for the means of by the means of plunder, access to different lands, and trade routes as well. Next, we see prashastis and land grants. Now, Prashasti was a text which contained details of the rulers as they themselves wanted to depict themselves. These were composed by the Brahmanas and were not literally true. Most of the times they were not. It described the rulers to be valiant, brave warriors and talked about their achievements. Whereas land grants were rewards which were awarded to the learned Brahmanas who often played an important part in the administration. These were recorded on copper plates, which are with the royal seal for the indication that they are very authentic, and were given to the one who received the land from the king. In the 12th century itself, we see a long Sanskrit poem written by Kalhana, whose writings spoke the truth, and he believed that a person should learn from his or her mistake. He told us about the history of kings who ruled Kashmir, and unlike the Prashastis, his texts were very critical regarding the ruler as well as their policies, and thus it was considered to be unusual. He used a variety of sources for his composition, like inscriptions, documents, eyewitnesses, accounts, and early histories. The next topic is warfare for wealth. In this map, we can see three kingdoms overlapping, that is, the Gurjara Pratiharas, the Palas, and the Rashtrakutas. This is because all the three kingdoms shared equal powers, and thus no one kingdom was able to sustain for long, and thus there was a continuous conflict between them over the acquisition of Kannauj. Now, because three parties were struggling for Kannauj, the historians named it as the tripartite struggle. Now, Kannauj was a well situated area in the northern plains and had easy access to the Ganga valley. Thus, it was a very fertile land, and any kingdom who would acquire Kannauj would add to their resources. Attack on temples. Now, rulers tried to demonstrate their powers and resources by building huge and extremely rich temples. Thus, the first target of the invaders was the temples. One of the most infamous invader was Sultan Mahmud Ghazni, who ruled from 997 to 1030. He had controls over the Central Asian part, Iran, and northwestern part of India. He raided India every year, and his main target were the wealthy temples. He raided the Somnath temple of Gujarat for 17 times, and he used this wealth to establish the splendid capital city at Ghazni. He also had a very keen interest in knowing about the area and the people he conquered, and thus appointed his scholar Al Biruni to write about Hindustan, and he wrote a book named Kitabul Hind in Arabic language with the consultation of the Sanskrit scholars. In this map, we see how Ghazni entered Pakistan, which was then part of India, through the Gomal Pass and subsequently came to Gujarat to raid the Somnath temple. The other kingdoms who were also engaged in warfare were the Chahmanas, later known as the Chauhans. They ruled over the region around Delhi and Ajmer, that is the central part of India, and tried to expand control to the west and the east, but were opposed, strongly opposed, by the Chalukyas of Gujarat and the Gahavadanas of western Uttar Pradesh. Their best known ruler was Prithviraj III, who ruled from 1168 to 1192. Prithviraj III defeated an Afghan ruler, Sultan Muhammad Ghori, in the Battle of Tarain in 1191, but lost to him in 1192 in the Second Battle of Tarain. In this map, we see how Ghori entered Pakistan, which was again a part of India, through the Khyber Pass and came to Tarain where this conflict was held. These are some of the important questions regarding this chapter, the answers of which you will find in the previous slides. Thank you so much for watching this video. Do hit the like button, share it among your friends, and subscribe to our channel. Let's be the difference.